Ladies and ghouls, welcome to another episode of The Vlogging Dead. We're going to get through the intro, and at the very end, we're going to have a special little segment talking about our favorite walkers. There's a lot to talk about tonight, but I'm going to try and condense it like soup. I'm not sure if Daryl got shot. In the opening sequence or whatever, you know, Abraham and Sasha driving, Daryl riding his bike, whatever, they get ambushed. They all kind of scatter again, and Daryl, he drops his bike, and I don't know if he was just hurt, because Daryl's too tough to just, like, lean his, lay his bike over, and I don't know, I didn't really get that. It's almost like he was giving up, and he lays down next to the walker that's got the motorcycle helmet on, which, I think that he thought at the time, is like, oh crap, that could be me, or maybe I should have worn a helmet. So Daryl finds this new group and actually gets his head whooped by one. And, he wakes up and they're stealing his stuff. And I'm going to call this new group like the faction of the Kneelers, because they kept using that quite often, describing the people that they were running from. So I don't think that we've seen the last of that group. But anyway, Daryl finds the cooler with what I thought was medical supplies at first, but it was just, the needles or whatever for the only person in the group that I got a name from, Tina, who ends up dying with that. You guys saw this coming. Their heads were intact and they died in the fire and their bodies were still intact pretty much. So you knew that something was going to happen when she gets down and yeah, she gets killed. Saw that one coming. Meanwhile, a little later on with this group, we see Daryl rustle the leaves and distract the one person that's looking for him from this faction, and he gets bit by the zombie, and then he gets his arm amputated, which was really cool because they knew the trick. They knew to do that, so they're obviously skilled in zombies. I thought, though, that the cutting off of the arm needed to be a little bit more graphic. They didn't really show it. I was kind of disappointed. It's like, oh yeah, let's get some blood. Let's get some guts. Well, arm guts. Meanwhile, back with Sasha and Abraham, they're kind of like leaving a trail for Daryl. And you see Sasha put her foot in the mud so that Daryl can track it. And basically deters Abraham from doing anything like stupid that's going to draw more walkers or more attention. Basically Sasha's saying, we want to leave subtle clues. We don't want to leave breadcrumbs. So it's like we don't want anybody else to find us, like the people that were shooting at him for whatever reason. Because that was kind of weird. That did they know that they were coming? Were they sitting there waiting for him, or were they looking for those other people, the people that Daryl met? Because we don't have names for them yet. So Sasha writes Dixon on the door. Did you guys notice how big she made the X? Because what is X? X marks the spot. Aha! So 2 and 2 together. So Abraham and Sasha go into this office building. Abraham finds, I don't know if he was a general or what he was, but the military clothing and whatnot. And Sasha does a little psychological mumbo jumbo on Abraham and basically puts him in a spot. And says, this is how you are. I've analyzed you. Kind of like Bill from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He's like, whoa, I totally just dated myself. Abraham is always saying stuff, and we know a lot of the stuff that he already has said. So I'm going to call them Abraham-isms. Mother Dick, who's Deanna? Dolphin Smooth. And tonight, of course, we have Loose Ends Makes My Ass Itch. So I don't know. He just keeps coming up with lines, and we love him. Done with this one, too. So Abraham goes out, and he finds the freaking missiles and the cigars. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, because like I said, I've got this other segment that I want to do talking about the walkers. But we've got the GI walker on the fence, on the gate and everything, impaled. And Abraham goes a little ape shit on him. Just a little. So what do you guys think that he was actually doing there? Do you think that he was just suffering from sleep deprivation? Or he was just getting it all out of the system? What do you think him sitting there yelling? Because honestly, I thought that he was going to get bit. I thought he was doing something stupid and he was going to get his hand or arm bit because that walker was really close. As much as Rick and Daryl were kind of butting heads there for a little while as to should we bring people into Alexandria? Should we not? What should we do here? Daryl's kind of recruiting, so, he was at odds with this group that whacked him over the head and stole his stuff, but after he stole his stuff back and then actually kind of made amends with them a little bit, and they're like, oh, we thought that you were this like group that we were like getting away from, and he's like, no. So Daryl starts asking the questions. He asks the one guy, you know, how many zombies have you killed? And the guy's like, oh, I've killed lots, like 24. Really? Okay, now let's get this straight. Lots of zombies in the apocalypse. Look at the herd. That's a lot of zombies. 24? No big deal. But how many people have you killed? None. Why? Because killing people, that it would be like no return. He's talking about humanity. That, you know, if you were to kill somebody, then there's no turning back. So I thought that was a kind of a key thing. And of course, you know, it ends up... Oh, wait. I've got a note here. As they're riding off, I have a note saying that Daryl pulls wood out of his pocket. It was the figurine that the guy was, like, whittling on. I just thought that was funny. That was kind of symbolic. Because how many chicks love Daryl, and he pulled the wood out of his pocket. So finally, at the end, Daryl finds the vehicle, the fuel vehicle, which in watching The Talking Dead tonight, we found out that was Patty. That was the Patty that they were looking for. So if you guys don't watch The Talking Dead after the show, you really should, because there is some useful information there. I didn't know that. I didn't follow who Patty was. And then also, at the very end, you think that, you know, everybody's regrouped, everybody's happy again, they're going to head back, and who knows what happened to the walkers that they just kind of like left there because of the original ambush at the beginning of this episode. So who knows what's happening to them? And they were kind of far behind anyway, so did they already get to the end of their 20 miles? Did they make it? There's a question. But yeah, you think that everything's wrapped up at the end of the episode, and it's like he gets on the CB and he's like, does anybody copy? And somebody replies with, nope. Who was it? Was it Glenn? Was it the guy with the blonde hair? Didn't sound like Rick. Was it a wolf? Who knows? We'll find out next time. Now here's a little segment of this Vlogging Dead that I would like to call Kick-Ass Zombies. Most of you are familiar with Halloween Hellmouth and the channel and what we do here. We do haunted houses most of the time. So it's kind of important that we actually sit back and talk a little bit about our favorite zombies, because the makeup and the effects are just really, really cool. 3 notable zombies that I really like tonight. They called them something different on the Talking Dead, but I called him the Mossy Forest Walker. This guy was cool. It had the rib cage. You could actually see inside some of the rib cage. And it's like he had been somewhere for so long that the moss had actually started growing on him. So I thought that was a notable walker. Also, the burnt walker that was completely charred, completely burnt. Not the one with the motorcycle helmet, but there's another one that the head was still kind of moving, even though everything else from like the rib cage down was hollowed out and burnt. So that was extremely notable. And of course, the GI walker that was impaled, that ended up moving so much because he's trying to get to Abraham, and then he just like fell off. He was rotted and decomposed or whatever, just dropped off. That was awesome too. So I hope you guys enjoyed the second little tiny segment. See you next time. Happy haunting. Watch out for zombies. Best advice I can give you.